On the hero side today, the matchup, and I think that this matchup might be the most heavily debated matchup that we'll have. James Bond versus John Wick. Holt to argue his stance first on who would win between James Bond and John Wick.
I'm not a big John Wick fan. Like I haven't really watched many of the movies. Um, so
It's because you're not a man of culture, Holt.
yeah, I guess so. But I've seen all the James Bond movies with what's his name in it? God, what's his name?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah. So, and I do love his character, and he's larger than life, and he always seems to be able to pull something right out of his ass. I don't know enough about John Wick to argue for him, so I'm gonna have to go with James Bond on this one. And he's clean, he's sharp looking. He pulls all the girls. You know, he's just a cool dude. He I don't know. I like James Bond. He's a cool character. Has the most badass suits too.
Okay, so the Holt's argument, which is really weak, because he's seen more James Bond, so he's going James Bond. Nicky, what is your vote?
It depends on which James Bond it is, because there's it either has to be in between Daniel Craig's James Bond or the original OG James Bond, Sean Connery. I will say this: I've seen more scenes with John Wick where he can take a lot of gunshots and a lot of beatings and still push forward. So, he's a freaking United States Marine. James Bond is very skilled at being John Wick too, with being stealthy, but a lot of what James Bond gets away with is outwitting people and getting the upper hand just around the corner, while John Wick is strictly a gunfight aficionado. Bond isn't, but John Wick definitely would be. So
is this like a paintball fight? Is this like one side on one side, they have cover?
I would probably say, yeah, it would be like that.
Okay, well then I would. I don't know. I still want to go James Bond, but because you're right. Like we're talking about James Bond, who I think is a lot more sly and he's a smooth talker, so he can get his way out of situations a little bit differently than John Wick. I think John Wick has more of a chip on his shoulder. Sorry, go ahead.
John Wick would definitely have the upper hand in just like a full-on gunfight. Just here they are. Here's some obstacles between them. Go. I would win. But there is a scene in the very first James Bond movie with Sean Connery where he knew someone was coming after him to come through the door to assassinate him in his bed. So James sat down in his chair behind the door and waited for him to come in and stuffed pillows inside of the bed to make it look like him. And when the guy came in, James Bond shot him. So those are two very different ways of fighting. But if we're talking about like the paintball field theory, then yeah, I would have to go with John Wick.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll go over my thought process. So I actually haven't seen too much of James Bond, but I have seen the first John Wick a few times, and a little bit of the second. But John Wick, I think what kind of gives him the edge in this is the fact that he killed an entire mob's worth of human beings because they killed his dog, and like that rage from just that simple action, and his gun knowledge and how he operates fighting against like multiple dudes, I think gives him the edge against James Bond. I think James Bond's much more of a from what I remember, he's kind of like more stealthy than John Wick. John Wick goes in guns blazing. Like he does not.
There's different approaches. So I think you're right. John Wick gets thrown into a situation where everybody knows he's there to kill him, and they still can't kill him. But James Bond's thrown in a situation where they don't know who he is, and if that was the case, if it was more of like a stealthy undercover mission, I think James Bond definitely has
upper hand,
more wherewithal, and he's just a lot more skilled in that way. Where he's good looking character, he gets his way with everybody just because of how a smooth talker he is.
I think in a real life scenario, I actually do think James Bond probably lives longer than John Wick
for
does,
sure,
because
for
John
sure.
Wick is kind of like dumb. He's not dumb. He's smart, but he fights like he has nothing to lose.
Yeah. He's like the Punisher character. He's just like, he's there for a purpose. Now, James Bond's a lot different. There's a purpose behind what he's doing, but he's a lot more rogue. I don't know, it's just different. Yeah. But you're right. If this is a straight paintball fight, like, we're not saying paintball fight, but like, they're in a closed coliseum again. They have structures and barriers.
They're on Nuketown and Black Ops.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It's
John Wick. John Wick. Y'all made me change my mind. I think John Wick.
Yeah, we're saying John Wick on this one, just for sheer gun use ability, and honestly, Keanu Reeves, for all of his faults in acting, it seems like a great dude, and he actually tried really, really hard to get that kind of John Wick's fighting style down, and he really handled weapons a lot for that role, which I thought was pretty interesting. He is like a firearms god now.
That's awesome. Well, cool. So I think we all agree John Wick wins this fight now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.